What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. As always, I'm your co-host Donovan Quick, and it's become evident over the past week or so that the Dolphins are not going to franchise tag anybody, and that includes star safety Jevon Holland. And that's mostly because if we franchise tag him, I believe it's around $20 million that he's going to get paid this season, and that is ridiculously high for a safety. Now look, Jevon Holland is a great safety. However, he's coming off of one of his worst years. So to franchise tag him and put him in a position where he kind of already was unhappy that we didn't, sign him to an extension before this season. And so he kind of wasn't locked in and played bad. Now you're going to franchise tag him, and he's going to have that same mentality of, I'm not signed to a long-term extension. I'm not locked in. We don't need that. And I would love to sign him to a long-term extension, but the reality is that his number is probably not far off from his franchise tag number. I think the projection is somewhere around 4 years, $75 million. Like, that's just under 20 a year for a safety. And we can't really be spending that on a safety when we have so many other big needs. And like, yeah, safety is a huge need for us right now, but I value that position personally under offensive guard, which we really need badly right now. I value that position under corner, which we need another corner really badly right now. Edge rusher, which if all goes well, all three of our edge rushers are fantastic and they should be healthy by the start of next season. But who knows? Who knows what happens? But you can't have that big of money when you have Bradley Chubb signed for over $25 million a year. You have Tyreek Hill for $30 million a year. You have Jalen Ramsey for over $25 million a year. Teron Armstead for almost $30 a year. Tua getting $50 a year. Waddle's going to be getting $28 a year. You can't have so many huge contracts on a team and expect them to still be able to have great depth, because at the end of the day, there's still 11 people on the field at a time. And you're only going to have 2 to 3 big contracts on the field at the same time for the majority of the time. Like, you're not going to have your 6 guys. And even then, that's only half of the people you have out there. You need to be able to have guys that aren't star power, but really, really good role players and can go out there and produce and are on good contracts and rookie contracts. And that is something that the Dolphins do not have right now. That is something that we lack. So to let Holland walk and let him go get that 4 for $75 with Denver or Seattle or whoever wants to pay him that, and let us get a 3rd round comp pick for him, I'm more than happy to do that, because I don't want someone that's not bought in. I don't want someone that's not look, I love Holland. He's one of my favorite players on the team. But if he's not going to be here and be locked in every day and play to 110% and go out there and play like he did the last 3 years before this past one, like, look, if he's not going to do that, I don't want to pay him almost $20 million a year. It's just not realistic to have that. And to be able to get a 3rd round comp pick, and there's plenty of good safeties that go in the 2nd, 3rd round that we can get. And look, it's unfortunate that we can't pay everybody. It's unfortunate that we let Wilkins walk, we let Robert Hunt walk, we let Van Ginkel walk because that was a dumb one, but Brandon Jones walked because he got 3 years, $28 million. Like, that was too much for a safety coming off of a torn ACL that played backup most of the year. Like, that was just too much. The Dolphins need to find more of what they had, not this past year, but the year before that with Deshaun Elliott. Like, yes, Deshaun Elliott trashed the Dolphins, whatever, blah, blah, blah. He signed a 1-year contract for under $8 million, and he played exceptional for us, and then he went off and got a big contract. We need more of those bridge guys to come in here that can come off of whatever team that they're on and have a 1-year prove-it deal where they're playing for their lives, and they come in here, they produce, and then they leave. And you know what? It is what it is when they leave, because at that point, I would hope that Mike McDaniel can help Chris Grier to develop these guys underneath that they draft, because we have lacked a lot of draft capital over the past 4 years. We need to get these guys back up and develop them. And when we develop them, that's where your depth is built. Your depth is built through the draft, because if you keep signing these 1-year deal guys, which we have been doing, there's only so much that you can do. Like, look, we hit on a few of them. We hit on David Long, and then he went down the pooper scooper last year, but is what it is. Anthony Walker seemed to have been a hit. He played really well, but he also was injured a lot. So it's stuff like that you can't control it, right? So bring in those bridge guys. Develop your draft picks. Get more draft picks. It's kind of, I think that's the mentality that the Dolphins are starting to come back to after loading up their roster in 2022 and 2023. And then 2024, we saw that we couldn't really sustain that roster of having that many highly paid players. And so we let a lot of them walk. A lot of the 1-year deal guys in 2023, we let them walk. And that's why this team, the roster, was so underwhelming this past year. And a lot of it is Grier's fault. A lot of it is Ross's fault. I will say that I think Mike McDaniel and his coaching staff did an incredible job with the lack of roster that we had. But Jevon Holland is also, he's living a huge hole at the safety position. So that's where the draft comes in. That's where free agency comes in. That's where you got to find ways to find someone to replace him. And to me, right now, I'm just thinking of like an internal option, and Nick Needham having him step up, Elijah Campbell having him step up, because we've seen these guys play, and when they're in there, they're playing hard and they're playing tough. And with the few snaps that they get, like, yeah, they may give up a play or two, but they're in there hard hitting, and they just need more reps. Brandon Jones, coming off his ACL, his first few games were terrible. Then he steps in to a bigger role towards the end of the season and gets a few interceptions, gets some huge hits, some huge tackles that save the game. Like, that's what you need this coaching staff to produce. So internal options like Elijah Campbell, Nick Needham, those are great options in my opinion. Are they long-term options? I don't think so. I think they're short-term options. I think that you still need to explore free agency extensively. I still think that you should be looking everywhere in the draft. I know Malachi Starks has been projected to us at 13 a lot, and I don't really blame people for projecting him to us. I do prefer a guard at 13, but neither here nor there. Best player available, if he is the best player available, that just is what it is. But yeah, the reality of the situation is Holland is probably going to walk. He's probably not going to get paid by the Dolphins, leaving a huge hole at the safety position. We're going to need 2 starting safeties going into next year, and who knows what happens. Our secondary is really defeated right now because we have Jalen Ramsey, who's actually more like this now, and then Kader Kohu in the slot. We have who's on the boundary, Cam Smith. Who knows? I love what I've seen in practice from him, and in games, it looks like he needs more game time reps because sometimes he gets beaten, sometimes he's great. So like it's just he needs more reps. At the safety position, I could not honestly tell you who we have back there. Jordan Poyer's gone. Jevon Holland's probably gone. Like, it's literally Elijah Campbell and Nick Needham are who we have left, and Nick Needham's a free agent. I think Elijah Campbell might be too, but yeah, it's going to be tough sledding out there in free agency, but we'll see what happens. Thank you guys for joining me today. If you watched to the end of the video, put a fire emoji in the comments below. Deuces.